please hype this video. It really helps us find even more Arsenal fans, and we want to find you all.
Every single one.
Every single one of you.
Apart from maybe Piers Morgan.
Yeah. But I'd accept a hype from him.
I'm
not precious. I'm not precious. Right then, the Champions League draw has been done. Jim, are we the favourites?
The bookies seem to think so.
Great, let's go home.
I'll take that so far. Yeah, it's a kind draw, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a really exciting draw.
It is. So we've been drawn against Bayer Leverkusen in the last 16, and then we will face, should we win that tie, which is not a given, Sporting Lisbon or Bodo Glimt. Jonny, how does this draw make you feel?
Very happy. It feels like I'm back in the Europa League, to be fair. I could not have asked. We genuinely couldn't have asked for a better draw. Last night I was prepping for the show and I was thinking, between Atalanta and Bayer Leverkusen, I would have loved Bayer Leverkusen because Atalanta are a very tricky man-to-man marking, very difficult
Looks
formation.
Very good the other night as well.
Yeah, they're a good team and we struggled against them last year as well. So I was thinking, if we get Bayer Leverkusen, I'll be happy. Then I saw the rest of the draw and who was on the other side of it. And it sort of reminded me of England 2018 World Cup, sort of like when you're looking at it and thinking, hang on, we got a chance here.
Yeah.
Everyone's on that side.
Yeah. For the listeners, Jonny is basically rubbing his hands together as he's saying this.
I've been doing that. Everyone knows a GIF. I was absolutely elated with it. Yeah. I want to keep my feet on the ground here.
No. That's not what we're doing today. Get them off.
No.
Jump up and down.
Yeah, we have no excuse not to be in the final. But I would say as well, we earned the right. We did finish top, and that has played a part in us getting a favourable draw. It's not the full story, but it's played a part in us getting a favourable draw. But we finished top, so
yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that is the carrot that's there, and we've gobbled that carrot up. I think, the idea of us being favourites is kind of hard to digest, isn't it? Because I think the toughest team on our side of the draw is Barcelona, of course. There's a good chance that we would meet them in the semi-finals if things go as you expect, which obviously you don't always know that they will. That then is a tough game, like favourites or not, regardless of any other context. That is a really difficult game over two legs. So, I think the minimum requirement has to be getting to that game. Mm-hmm. And from then on, if you can beat Barcelona and whoever's in the final, then you absolutely earn the right to win the Champions League. So it's a kind draw to a point, isn't it? Right. And it's an encouraging draw to a point because I can look at that even with my most kind of worrisome Arsenal fan traits, thinking, but we did draw with Wolves. You can look at that and go, yeah, we have to at least be in the semi-final there. Yeah,
Bodo Glimt they're the hipsters' new favourite team, and there's a reason for that. They play fantastic football, and this isn't new. They've been doing it for a season or two. They're a potential big banana skin.
You'll be seeing people in North London wearing Bodo Glimt t-shirts in a few weeks' time.
I want them to go out to Sporting. I don't want us to be the villains who put them out.
Fully. I would much rather Sporting. If we get Bayer, Sporting, and then Spurs, then just I'll go to church on that day and I will give thanks. But looking at it, even with Barcelona, yes, they're the team. They're the Champions League heritage, fantastic set of players. The way we set up, we're a big problem for Barcelona. And I actually think Newcastle are going to give them a very difficult time.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really fun tie.
I think it's going to be a really fun time. And I'm going to say this now. I fear Newcastle more than Barcelona. I was going to say,
I don't think it's absurd to say actually a tie against Newcastle, where we've never beaten an English side in the knockout rounds of the Champions League, would be my nightmare. That would be my nightmare. Can you imagine St James's Park? Like
under the lights.
Absolutely. So this is a very fun draw. And I say that because we've got a good draw. I would not be saying this, but there's a lot of narratives that kind of are playing into this. So obviously Bodo Glimt, the hipster story, just on that one, what a day out for the fans that would be. Would you guys fancy a trip into the... I know the only way that people describe where Bodo Glimt is it's in the Arctic Circle. Yeah. As if that's a reference point for me. I don't know where that is.
In my mind,
it'd be north.
It's... from Philip Pullman's Northern Lights books. It feels
exactly
like this sort of magical realm. We looked at it earlier. It's like, how'd you get there? It's like there's an airport in Bodo. You just fly there.
Yeah, it's not a magical land. Works. Yeah, it's a city. Yeah,
I've got a rule. I don't get in a plane flying north. So okay. Not just starting to the point. I think it's going somewhere more cold than London. I don't see the point of going somewhere more north than London. And I have gone back on that. I went on tour on the street tour. I did a show in Glasgow, and I've done a few shows in Glasgow. and I had to get on a plane, and it really bothered me.
Wow.
Yeah, I just don't get on planes.
Like Dennis Bergkamp.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're going south, no problem. But
I actually agree in theory. There's nothing good north of London.
Personally, listen, to our listeners who are up there in the Arctic Circle, I do apologise.
What are you doing there, though? What are you doing there?
Can I just apologise to Alton Towers as well, which is definitely north of London and amazing.
We could drive there.
True. Yeah, no one's getting a plane to Alton Towers, you're right.
Is Oblivion still going?
I hope so.
Yes.
What a theme park that is. Maybe the club will put on a ferry for us.
Maybe.
To get us to Bodo Glimt, like they do for Fulham, and we just all have drinks on the ferry to Bodo Glimt.
I do feel like even if you can get there easily, you should make it into some sort of saga.
Yes, exactly. I think you must be required to do every single mode of transport.
Yes.
Train, bus, helicopter, fly.
Then
but we'll leave
skateboard down to the stadium at the end. Trickiest bit of the ice, presumably.
Yeah. But we'll leave Jonny at home because that is quite far north. The draw has been kind to us as well because of what it's done to Man City. So they will be playing their second leg against Real Madrid the week of the Carabao Cup final.
That is so welcome.
Thank you to the gods who have shined on us today. That's delicious, Jonny.
It's outrageous. I mean, the thing is, they play Real Madrid quite often, to be fair, so they're used to that tie.
They've already played them in the Champions League this season, haven't they? They met in the group stage.
Yes, of course, they did as well. Yeah, that's a super blockbuster tie. It means you can't really have any eye on the Carabao Cup final until Thursday. You've got to be focused on. Pep's already complained about that trip down to Wembley as it is. So now he's got
the
even
opposite
more
of you.
reason.
He's like, I don't want to travel if it goes south, but I'll happily go, north. He's not coming to Wembley. All we can hope for is, that tie is really, really in the balance by the time that second leg comes around. So they can only focus, as you say, they can't rest anyone. Not that they would anyway, but ultimately, if the tie is really, really tight, maybe a nice bit of extra time.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Can you imagine?
That'd be
then
excellent.
Penalties. Either way, lots of emotion, and then they've only got a couple of days to recover while we've just sailed through easy peasy, no worries. That's what's going to happen, isn't it, Jim?
I hope so, especially because the likelihood would be if City do get past Real Madrid, which is obviously a big if, they would probably face Bayern.
Yeah.
So then you get that situation again later down the line.
Yeah, go ahead, Jonny.
Yeah, we'd want City to stay in the Champions League as long as possible because their fixture list it looks like something out of a fantasy book.
So their fixtures ahead of, by the time we meet them in the Carabao Cup and the Premier League, Leeds, Forest. Okay, we'll take that. Won't get too excited about that. But then Newcastle in the FA Cup, Real Madrid, West Ham, Real Madrid again, Arsenal, Chelsea, Arsenal. And in amongst all of that, they've got the 2 quarter-final legs if they make it that far.
It's a rough old schedule.
It's a rough old schedule. And at some point, if they get through all of that, you kind of have to respect it. Respect that.
I mean, the way, because that looks like the Battle Royale. But the way you got to look at it is if they do, and this is the way of reframing it now, if they do win the Champions League and League this season, they would have bloody earned it. Whereas I feel at this point, we would have, if they won it, it would be a case of us throwing it away. If they somehow do it, they're going to have to pull the treble winning form out the bag to get there because that is a gauntlet.
100%. And by contrast, we have Mansfield in the FA Cup, Leverkusen, who we've just drawn, Everton, Leverkusen again, City, Bournemouth, City. So on paper, it does look kind of to us.
And also, we face them at a good time in that run as well, because any war wounds they will have picked up will be.
The stars are aligning. The stars are aligning. I think we are favourites. I agree with the bookies. I am already thinking about my hotel at Budapest, how I'm going to get there, what I'm going to wear, which shirt I'm going to wear. So to say I'm getting carried away would be an understatement. But given the draw and given the kind of the likely permutations of City and who they might have to play, it looks good for us. I think we should be confident.
Yeah.
And let's just be deluded about it.
Absolutely. I mean, at some point you have to face those big teams, and we are looking at a situation where realistically the first challenge where it won't be a disaster if we don't overcome it is the semi-final. That is about as much as you can hope for in the Champions League. We're really, really blessed with that, and that is it's just a perfect set of circumstances, right? And if luck goes in your favour, you just got to embrace it.
I'd also say as well, the perception of Arsenal on the continent. I was watching a bit of content from Alec Tillman the other day where he was talking about the club he'd most want to sign for, and he was talking about singing the praises of Arsenal. And the interviewer asked him back, he said, oh, well, what about the fact that they're quite a set-piece team? He said, no, on the continent, they just look like the most dominant team. And he was mentioning about how they're seen in the Champions League. Yeah. And that carries you there's a fear factor around us. On the continent, it's different to here where they feel as though we bottle it. I don't think that word exists in Europe. So there is this fear factor which we can use to our advantage. And once you start building those results up, and I don't want to get too carried away again, but once you get past Leverkusen and you get past Lisbon, and then you get to a Barcelona, which are pretty much ready-made for us as a big team, we get to the final and we're against a non-English team, then we're sort of, the momentum's going to carry us across the line, you would imagine. Am I being too excited?
No, not at all. I think it does feel as well, like even though we've not really been back in the Champions League that long, because there's been year-on-year progression, it does feel like there's experience there now as well. You know, they've been to that semi-final and it was very, very tight. And obviously the year before, they go out to Bayern, but feel like they've learned the lessons from that, particularly in Europe. And it does feel like, if not now, in terms of going one better, even if it's just getting to the final, then when?
I think we are also owed a nice draw. I'm sorry, but I'm still, I'm haunted by various Champions League outings back in the day. Like, we may well face Bayern Munich at some point.
Yeah.
It would be lovely. It would be. I would probably die happy if we could undo all of the hell they caused us in 2015, 2016, all those years. So
and Barcelona too.
Absolutely.
If you're scripting it yourself,
we are avenging the 20 years.
Totally.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Oh,
either.
wow.
20 years
20 years.
to the 2006 Champions League final. This could be the one where, well,
yeah,
who knows?
If you are scripting it, you would want revenge on Barcelona, revenge on Bayern Munich, and you probably want to crush the dreams of Bodo Glimt, depending on how evil you are.
Before we look ahead to Chelsea, quick one on the Champions League draw itself. Usually a spectacle, usually an unbearable watch. Jim, nice and efficient this morning.
Yeah, really just grown up.
Just grown up.
It felt like our producer Finn pointed out earlier in the day, it felt like a sort of meeting at European Parliament. But for some reason, Martin Keown was there.
Why Martin Keown was representing us?
I have no idea.
No idea. He does seem to get some incredible gigs. He must have the same agent as Rio Ferdinand.
He is so passionate about Arsenal. He's worse than any of us.
Yeah.
And he fights a lot of fires. I feel as though he's earned the right for some of these jobs because he's been fighting when we've been very shit. He's been actually defending us when he shouldn't have, to be fair. So just as well now he's getting some just desserts and getting gigs he shouldn't get.
He's truly never stopped being an Arsenal defender.
Never. Who was it saying the other day? They used to go into training. Bergkamp was saying this actually in the overlap. He said he was mental in training. Like he would train, you could wind him up. He was on the edge of like complete chaos at all times. And he said, so they just used to wind him up. But how he was as a player, he's carried on into his punditry career. So.
Do you think that's how we've got a good draw? Martin Keown's in there.
Yeah.
Make this good for them or he will kick off.
He's a scary man. He's a very strong possibility.
Well, after the break, we look ahead to Chelsea on Sunday. Welcome back to the thing about Arsenal. Back in the Premier League, we face Chelsea in the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday. Now, Chelsea have scored one goal at the Emirates in the past 5 years, scored by Noni Madueke. It's looking good, but I'm feeling nervous, Jim. Yeah. I'm feeling nervous. How have you kind of got to the stage where we faced Chelsea based on how happy and giddy we were on Monday? Have you reached a sense of dread, nervousness, or are you confident?
I hope that this, as I said on Monday, that this is a bit of a turning point in terms of, a second part of the season from Arsenal based on the performance against Spurs. But as I said on Monday, last time we beat Spurs 4-1, we played Chelsea in the next league game and we drew 1-1 even though they had a man sent off. Yeah. So it's a funny one because Liam Rosenior has this is his third crack at us, even though he's only been there for a little while. And I'm intrigued to see what his tactical setup will be because they tried to kind of stifle us and make us make a mistake and capitalise on that last time we played. It didn't really work, but at the same time, it did frustrate us for long periods of the game. So I wonder if there might be a similar kind of approach. They are a much better team than the teams that normally come up and set up in a low block. So it could be tricky. I don't think he'd come and play for a draw, but I think if you offered him a point now, he'd probably take it. So that might go into their thinking. So I'm just hoping really that our focus after the Spurs game, now that we've basked in the glory of it and enjoyed it and enjoyed the Fulham players enjoying it and all that stuff, is on like cutting out mistakes and like getting back to those defensive basics. That means teams won't even get a shot against us. That we need that kind of fortress style feeling to come back. So I'm hoping that is going to be in evidence on Sunday.
I feel the opposite.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
I'll tell you why. I think Leeds have something for City. I don't know why. I think Leeds have something for City, and then on the other side, when we get to our game, so they might nick a point. We might get a little bit complacent, but there's a thing we call due theory. Chelsea are due a good performance or a result against us. It's been a long time coming, and I'm a little bit worried. Like you say, they've got a lot of XP against us recently. However, Chelsea are a lot better at Stamford Bridge against us than they are at the Emirates, and for good reason. I think it's a completely different game. But that's my only fear, is that it's just
the numbers don't
the numbers
right.
The probability is going to even itself out. That's why I'm a little bit worried. We've had a week off. We're well rested. If we're on the ball, we'll be absolutely fine. But for any other reason, which might be that complacency comes in because City has messed up the day before.
Let us explore that then. So the reasons to believe that Arsenal will just kind of do what needs to be done here is that we are hopefully back to a clean bill of health. Apart from we say that. Sorry, I'm sorry. Right. Who's it going to be then? Oh, he's had a knock in training on the Saturday and he needs to be rested, or he's got a sore throat,
his
or
head
something
fell off
like
in the
that.
warm-up. Just clean off.
Just gone. But let's go with that positivity. That apart from Mikel Merino, we should have everyone back fit. So Kai Havertz. I think Kai Havertz is a real Chelsea hater now.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Real. So he could be key. Ben White as well. And obviously we are coming off the back of a good performance. So I'm kind of the Delulu opinion that Chelsea will have players missing. They're only kind of... I think they will come with a view to frustrate us, as always. But they don't have anything else.
They're missing Cucurella and Wesley Fofana as well, who are two kind of important defenders for them. So it might be a bit harder for them than it otherwise would for them to kind of set up in a way to frustrate us. So I hope you're right. I keep picking the lineup for this game in my head, and it just changes every single time. There's so many options we have now. I mean,
and this is a good problem to have at this stage of the season. You know, think back to previous seasons where we were forced to play Mikel Merino up front because everyone else was on the, getting treatment for injuries all the time. So this is a good thing to have.
Right, yeah.
I think you made a really good point just before we came on, Jim, about Arteta surprising Liam Rosenior potentially with what we do. I actually like Liam Rosenior, as we've said many a time, but I think he might overthink certain games. And I think this is one you don't really want to do, because then I think Arteta will there'll be a test match happening in preparation of this game. And I feel like Arteta could pull the rug from under Rosenior's feet, maybe with a couple of choices tactically and selection-wise. And you were saying, if Havertz comes back in, we're not going to drop Gyökeres. We can't drop him after a break. He's earned his right to be there. We can't really drop Eze. We could move him out wide left. But where would you bring Havertz back in?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot, because you've got two options really, haven't you? Which is that you play him kind of just slightly behind Gyökeres, and therefore you take out you take Eze out of that position, or you don't start Odegaard, or you play him up front, which I think, based on how Gyökeres has played recently, he's earned the chance to try and lead the line in this sort of game. So I guess it has to be in that kind of advanced midfield position, doesn't it? Which means he possibly moving Eze out wide or dropping him all together. I wouldn't be surprised if he does drop Eze.
I'm excited for this team sheet. I am ready to be shocked by Arteta. I couldn't agree more. I think this is one where he, particularly with how Liam Rosenior kind of, it's not right to say he got it right against us, but certainly there were some aspects of how he set up, particularly in the Carabao Cup, where you go, yeah, do you know what? Fair enough. Like you did the right thing with what you had. I can understand why you did that, but
he got some tactical brownie points, but it's about as much as I'm going to give him.
Mostly from Gary Neville. Gary Neville was giving his height points out.
That's true. Yeah. And can I just say as well, Jonny, you said it. I actually like Liam Rosenior. I think he's had a very unfair character assassination. Specifically recently, when he was pictured having you guys would have seen this, sat by himself having a pint alone in a pub somewhere, and everyone was like, "What a loser."
Yeah.
What a LinkedIn loser. There is nothing greater than having a drink by yourself.
No.
Like, sorry, having a nice pint. He's just being very normal. And I think that was after they drew against Burnley. He's just
embraced it. He is a nerd, but he's embraced it, and it's been refreshing, I would say. But I think for me, I said this on our reaction show, Jim, after the Spurs game. I think as a sustainer team, and Trossard now has got to the stage of the season where maybe you can afford to give him a little bit of time out. But, and also with Arteta said before that game that Eze was fuming that he wasn't picked for the game before, which was the Wolves game. So I don't know how you can drop him. Arteta will have the courage to drop him after scoring a brace now as well.
He also made comments to the effect that he was understanding how to get the best out of Ezra a bit more as well. Yeah. So, and again, like the reason I'm finding this kind of lineup so difficult to predict with any confidence is, Trossard didn't have a great game against Spurs, but he does tend to turn up in big games like this. And he is also a player who can put a bad performance behind him really, really quickly.
He gives him sort of purple patches, doesn't he, where you sort of have a quiet one and then he's just on it. You can easily see him assisting a goal, fueled by the rage and the lack of sleep that he looks like he's always had.
Yeah. I mean, this could absolutely break Liam Rosenior. Yeah. If we can't figure it out, you're right. He might just...
He's not going to, he's not going to sleep. He's going to look like Trossard by Sunday, probably,
Well, there we go. We also will have the Fulham team cheering us on. Jim, you mentioned it earlier, but we cannot do this episode without mentioning the Arsenal, what would you say, Alumni Academy?
Yeah.
The alumni giving it the big uns on the Fulham bus. So, Emil Smith Rowe doing the Gyökeres celebration, the Eze celebration. It's nice to feel loved by at least a few people outside of the Arsenal bubble when everyone else seems to hate us.
Yeah, it was him and Iwobi giving Ryan Sessegnon a load of grief.
Yeah, and Bassi, who I love, Calvin. Big up Calvin Bassi. That dressing room, first and foremost, is probably the best dressing room in professional sport by the looks of things. They have so much fun together. They're all around the same group. They all have the same interests. And they just look like they're having fun. And it's, for them, this isn't a Fulham pod, but it's spilling over onto the...
What are we talking about
over onto the pitch. But to bring it back to us, if we need that result, Fulham boys, you might roll over for us at the Emirates later on in the season. Hopefully.
I was about to say, it's all very well doing the celebrations, but put your money where your mouth is. We need you to actually do something in our favour. You can't just be, on social media. I want action. I do think of every Hale End product as like a secret agent embedded in other teams. 100%. Just before we move on to Man City and a lovely email that we've got here, just one on Jurrien Timber, who looked leggy, tired in the North London derby.
Yeah.
Mosquera came on and replaced him. Again, do we think this is something that Arteta could surprise us with in terms of who starts, or is this one where you go, actually, he's just going to play Timber until he dies on the pitch?
Yeah, I wonder if... I suppose it will be down to how fresh Timber looks in training, right? Because he does really look like he needs a rest, but at the same time, he is our best option at right back. And I think if you look at the calibre of the opposition on Sunday and the importance of the game, it might just be, let's see if we can juice a little bit more out of him. And also, because Ben White is just coming back into contention, maybe it might be seen as a bit too early for White to start. He tends to sort of treat White with a lot of kind of, with kid gloves, really, doesn't he?
I've got a secret. Well, I think part of me feels like he's saving Ben White to play a lot more later in the season, just because of what he offers us offensively as well. But how good is it to have those three options? And we're sitting there thinking, because Mosquera came on and he was unbelievable. By the way, he came, and he's been in and out the team. I've got to big him up. This is his first season in the league, and he's never looked like he's put a foot wrong.
He made his debut at Anfield.
Yeah. And he's our third option at right back. He's a backup at centre back, and he's been brilliant. So it's great. I'm
both
happy.
Sides as a centre back.
Both
as well.
sides. He's been brilliant. I do think we'll play Timber, and he'll come off probably 60 minutes if we're depending on how the game's looking.
Yeah.
But I think you start with Timber. We had a week off, so hopefully Timber's been getting pampered and having massages and spas.
Guess if you need a goal, it'll be Ben White. Yeah. If you're trying to protect the lead, it'll be Mosquera. Again, great options to have.
Oh, mate. Liam's looking at us like, you cheeky bastard.
Whenever I start feeling down about Arsenal, I Google that picture of Skodran Mustafi marking a referee and just go, we've come so far.
We've come so far. We have come so far. Jonny, you said that you think Leeds might have something for us. They play on Saturday night. Jim, have they got anything for us?
Well, we spoke about it on Monday, didn't we? That stat that Leeds are unbeaten at home under the lights, which is every week there's a new one.
Also, sorry, is it not dark all the time in Leeds? You wouldn't know because you don't go north, obviously. Yeah.
I don't think Leeds are going to get anything from this. I think they are a better team than their league position suggests, because obviously they've improved as the season's gone on. Farke's changed the system and all that stuff. I just think City are going to have too much for them.
I agree. I think Haaland will score within the first 15 minutes, and I will go and find something else to do with my evening.
He was born in Leeds, so he'll probably score a hat-trick and then be horrible to them.
Well, there we go then. We do have some correspondence around the North London derby this week.
Do.
Jim, do you want to take us away?
Yeah, this is from the Football Fanatic. Hey guys, I've been loving the show. Got here as a lifelong fan of the Football Ramble. Thank you very much. I live in San Diego, and by chance, I live very close to the one and only Arsenal pub called Blue Foot, which is officially recognised by Arsenal USA. Now, the crazy thing about this place being the official Arsenal pub of San Diego is that the owner is a Tottenham supporter. Not only that, he bartends during every Arsenal match in his Spurs kit as early as 4:30 a.m. for those early kickoffs. For the North London derby, the back and forth between us and him was like two siblings trying to outdo one another. Every time we gave him the "We hate Tottenham" bit, he'd respond with some chant he had queued up on the sound system. We'd just yell back and he'd give us the finger. But amongst all this hostility, he was still our bartender, and he was still letting us use his bar as the official home for Arsenal in San Diego. Quite the place. I mean, yeah, if you're in San Diego, get down to Blue Foot, because that is exceptional work, isn't it? That is brave.
Brave, and like most Spurs fans, he sounds like a masochist.
Yeah.
But good luck to him.
This bartender's a much sort of better, bigger person than me. I can't imagine this.
I love that he's queued up chants, though. That's great. It is his bar, and he will do what he wants.
And to be fair, having consumed all of the content this week from the North London derby, I do imagine he at least got a little bit of joy when they scored very quickly after us. So there is that. But the rest of it must have been miserable.
I've got a mate who's a Spurs fan who's in a group full of Arsenal fans, and he lives a similar sort of life, to be fair. And he hates his life most of the time. But for the one moment when Arsenal do let us down, that means everything to him.
Yeah.
So, for those 2 days a year, he's the happiest man on the planet.
I do wonder what the conversation was like, though, when this sort of supporters club found this location and said, look, this is actually a really good place for us to be the kind of official Arsenal supporters club. Is that all right?
Yeah.
And this guy was like, yeah, that's sound. He's a money man. Do you know what? He's about his money. He's about his business. This is a shrewd entrepreneur.
Yeah. He has monetized Spursiness.
Yes. Oh yes. I have to respect it. But you wouldn't see me on a day like this. If I was a Spurs fan, I would just be booking a holiday every North London derby. But he's got money to make, so I respect it.
Put the fire alarm on if I was in there, to be fair.
Yeah. Oh, suddenly we've got a flood in the basement. Sorry about that. Not open today. But yeah, if you are in San Diego, as Jim said, do pop on down to Blue Foot. Maybe we could do a school trip there one day to parade our various trophies that we're about to win. We'll see. After the break, it's time to talk about season ticket prices. Welcome back to The Thing About Arsenal. Well, from one business to another. This week, Arsenal have released their financials for the year 2024 to 25, and they've announced record revenues of nearly £700 million, which means we almost broke even, so a very small loss, 1.4 million, making it the best year for the club financially since the Cronkies took overall control in 2018. You'll never sing that, etc., etc. And there's been a lot of discussion about this, particularly around a couple of things that we're going to dive into. First and foremost, all those retail numbers look good, don't they? 50 ranges over the course of 2 seasons.
That's incredible.
They're putting in work.
So apparently, according to Deloitte, Arsenal have experienced a 104% rise in commercial revenue since 2021, which is the greatest growth of any of the 10 highest revenue generating clubs in world football.
Oh, wow.
And obviously a lot of that comes from this strategy, which is clearly working really well. I think partially because they put so much effort into it. You know, they're not just like,
let's
put a badge in a slightly different place, or let's do a different colour hoodie that's ultimately the same. They really, really put a lot of kind of love and passion and attention into it, and that's why everyone is lapping up, wearing the stuff. Like, I think kind of football kit culture has had a moment in like the past. Well, it's been going on for a while now, but you do see younger people wearing sort of retro kits out and about all the time. Not necessarily even just at football. I was at Primavera Sound a couple of years ago. Yeah. There were so many retro kits just knocking about. Yeah. People like much younger than me, wondering why I was there, ruining their time as a sort of horrific spectre of just demonstrating the ravages of time. But yeah, like Arsenal have cashed in on that really, really well, and it feels authentic, and it obviously is authentic, and that growth is unreal.
It is. I think we spotted a gap in the market about 4 or 5 years ago where we are unofficially the culture club of London. Like, there's no doubt about it. Chelsea run us close, but in terms of...
I don't think it's that close, Jonny. I really don't. Yeah, you're being way too nice.
I put Palace before Chelsea.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms of when... you know where I noticed it? We had remember the Jamaican kit, the yellow... Yeah. I went to Carnival that year and literally everyone was wearing it. And it was like, it's now become a badge of honour. It's the cool thing. Like, and they've been very smart with this. Like, I hope Ian Wright's getting his cut because Ian Wright has played a massive role in this. But even recently, I see the Max Dowman advert was so ahead of the curve in terms of how to sort of market the club or leverage what the club's history and black culture, London culture with Arsenal. That it's important. Like, it's become a massive part of our club. I think there's a limit to it. I think, eventually people are going to start saying, after another loss, we bring out another range of clothes. But the product is very, very good. And we were ahead of the curve. And everyone now is playing catch up. And the numbers prove it.
Adidas have me buying a bucket hat. I own the bucket hat. Now, this may be a shock to the listeners, but I'm not a big festival guy. I don't know if that is
a shock to me, Laura.
I'm quite high maintenance.
That altitude festival, the skiing.
Yeah, I'm not really a festival guy, but I was walking around with an Adidas bucket head on my hat last summer. And this is what they've got us doing. They are genuinely ahead of the curve. But I think, Jonny, I have to agree. At some point, you go, enough is enough. There are other impacts to this. There's an environmental impact. We keep producing all these clothes. Like, fans feel like they have to buy them, things like that. So it's not just, oh, well done us, we kind of put out all these clothes. But
I think the crescendo will be the parade. When we win the league, I think, sorry for saying it, but I feel that will be the moment where it all comes to fruition, and that's where we're going to make more money than ever. And everyone's going to want to have it. So we're going to carry that on into next season, but there is probably a limit to it. And we've enjoyed that, but maybe we need to start dialing it back in a little bit.
They'll do a Where's Wally range for the photos.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this was obviously a kind of positive telling of Arsenal's progress over the past couple of years from a commercial sense. And there's lots of people at the club who the club have bought in. I think Juliette Slot being the main one. She was the former commercial exec at Ascot. I actually used to work for her.
Oh, wow.
She was, when I worked in consulting, Ascot were a client. Now, she was a formidable woman, and I can't think of anyone better in this role at Arsenal. However, we also do need to talk about the fact that the club announced that the season ticket prices would rise for a 5th season in a row. So the kind of contrast of we're doing really well financially, but by the way, another ticket price rise, etc. Not a good look, I think, given the good vibes around the club. Now we're going to squeeze you for some more money. And quite rightly, the Arsenal Supporters Trust have criticised the club for continuing what they call the arms race of price increases, which I think is a really powerful phrase because it essentially evokes a sense that these clubs can work as a collective to not do this. But they're not doing that. And they're choosing not to do that, Jim.
Yeah, the Football Supporters Association suggested a freeze from all clubs, which would, of course, stop that arms race because everyone's got the same, so no one has an advantage or a disadvantage. And that was, of course, disregarded. I suppose corralling, 20 club owners is very, very difficult like that. As you mentioned, it's 5 years in a row now. Arsenal are citing operational costs going up, which is quite a vague term, isn't it?
That frustrates me, I have to say, as a fan, because it's not easy to rebut that and go, what do you mean? What's an operational? Because I think operational costs, when you look at what goes into them, it's everything. It's basically like the cost of running it, which is kind of frustrating as a fan because you go, I would understand a price rise if you could tell me exactly where it's going into.
It's a clever way of saying cost of living crisis, which is a liberty, really.
Same for all of us, isn't it? My operational costs have gone up as well. But I mean, in the articles about it says that that's gone up by over 50 million in a single year. So that is a lot. But at the same time, Arsenal make £5.3 million per home game. It's so much money. And in terms of the revenues that that football clubs generate these days. Most of it comes from TV money, from territories all over the world. The actual match-going, season ticket-buying fans are one of the smaller revenue streams. And it is a shame that, once again, those prices are going to go up because people will be priced out. People will replace those people, and it will appear like everything's rosy business as usual, but that's absolutely devastating for people that miss out.
That is a fantastic point in terms of the proportion of our revenue being the match day revenue, because for you to get the big chunks of revenue, which is the TV revenue, you need to have this atmosphere in the stadiums. That is a massive part of the Premier League product. And if the real fans can't afford to, if you're scratching around and you can't afford to get to games or whatever, or you can't afford your season tickets and they're going out the door, you're losing the essence of what the club really is. And that's what you're selling to the massive TV broadcasters. So eventually that will catch up with you, because everyone, you go and talk to any sort of fan, you go to Anfield, you go to Stamford Bridge, it's not the same as it was 10 years ago. And that's because really, we all know this, the corporate tickets and everything else, and the people that have season tickets, they barely go, or they're very wealthy and then they're not here, they're away for business, so they're selling their ticket to some. You go to games, it's not the same. And I'm not, casting aspersions about the people that are going matches now, but there is a different feel to go into games, and that is going to get worse. And I feel like we need local fans, people that live round, kids to grow up and want to go to matches. We need to keep that sort of, that environment, because at the moment we might be losing it.
Well, it needs to be accessible to those people, doesn't it?
Exactly
it needs to be guaranteed that that's the case. And I suppose one of the things that the numbers don't factor in here as well, I think it's just worth pointing out, is obviously this doesn't include the gigantic transfer splurge we went on in the last window, which will be reflected in the next set of accounts. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Who knows what the threshold is of some people being cut out of it and some people managing to remain. I think it's something they need to keep on top of and need to be wary of.
Specifically have what I would describe as the kind of the highest floor, but not a particularly high ceiling. So we have the highest, least expensive season ticket. So of all the tickets, ours ranked against the other clubs, our least expensive season ticket is over £1,000. Our most expensive season ticket is kind of on balance with the rest of them, but it's right up there, which means that on average you're paying 50 quid a game for the least expensive season ticket and 91 for the most expensive one. Now, to look at that like very objectively in terms of what you get back as a fan, I have to be honest, I don't see a massive problem with charging £50 to £60 a game. Where I really, really have such an issue, and this has been called out by quite a few people, it's definitely been called out by the Arsenal Supporters Trust, is then when we get to things like Champions League games, categorisation of other clubs, and that's when I just think, you're taking the piss. With category A and category B. And that's where I think you as a fan who has already paid £1,000 to then be, and it's part and parcel of, well, it's good that we're in these rounds, but I need to now fork out 80 quid a game for us to progress because I want to see. And that's where I think the demand is so inelastic. You can just keep pushing that. Where does it stop?
You're also not even guaranteed your seat in those situations, right? So
those ones, again, this is another way that Arsenal have changed it slightly so that you can buy a 19-game season ticket. For those ones, you are guaranteed your seat. Right. But at the same time, it's an additional cost. Sure. And I think the mentality, even if it's built in at the beginning of the season, that I now need to go and get my credit card and pay for another thing for Arsenal, feels really galling.
Yeah, especially when you spend as much as we were talking about on merch and everything else. But also, you should be excited to be getting to the latter rounds of the competition. And you've been part of the journey. So you should, you've helped the team get this far. And then all of a sudden you get in, it's that sort of a conditional sort of membership that you've got to watch your team. But you've been part of the journey. You should be allowed to see it to the end. And like there people, I know a lot of fans that go, it is getting harder and harder, and it really is. And I feel like it's important to keep the essence of Arsenal Football Club.
And I think as well, the match day revenue is such a small part of our global business, and we have fans all over the world. And you might think that they're not necessarily affected by this, but they absolutely are. Because number one, if you come to the UK in the hope of watching the club that you've spent years getting up at 5 a.m. to watch, getting a ticket, very difficult. You've already had to pay for flights. So the idea that you then, as an international fan, have to find someone, and Arsenal have introduced for next year a category A+ ticket for these games, which is in the region of 90 to up to £170. And that's when I'm like, wow, this, that is really pushing it. So it's not just us as the kind of match day attending fans. It really does have an impact and a knock-on effect about all over the world for our fans who, might not get to go to the stadium all the time, but still are stung by this kind of price increase.
That is straight up greed, and it's viewing fans not as people but as wallets to be emptied, essentially, isn't it? And I think that's a shame. And I do think it's important that, as you say, international fans are, there is a place for them at the stadium because Arsenal is such a global club, and if you want the benefits of that, you have to open it up to people who want to come and see it. I also think there's a point where we're in a nice position at the moment. We're in a privileged position. Everything's going well. The stadium might be anxious sometimes, but it's broadly positive. When things aren't like that, and there will be a point in the future where that is inevitably the case, people get angry when they pay an absolute fortune and the team are performing badly. That becomes something in your mind, and it becomes the reason people go, oh, and then the atmosphere never recovers. I remember once, a long time ago now, I was really, really skint, and I'd managed to scrape together 50 quid to go and see Arsenal, and we drew 0-0 with Fulham. Andre Arshavin ran probably less than I did in the course of the day. A lot of the time I was like, I can't really afford for this to be this bad. And it does become a factor, right? And you make a rod for your own back because you kind of set your own fan base up in a situation where they can become angry with you faster.
Well, we could be more demanding. We can be more entitled. If we're paying this sort of money, then we expect better transfer windows, we expect better performances, and we expect trophies. So it's like, okay, we've done our part. If you want us to pay more money, fair enough, then give us a quadruple.
Yeah, and I completely agree, Jonny, about the fact that we are demanding higher quality players and things. It's I think the bit that really doesn't sit right is passing that brunt on to the fans who are already paying lots of money to go and watch. Surely there are other things like the merch, for example, that we were talking about. I know it's a small aspect of it, it's not huge, but that feels like that's where this should come from.
The partnerships and the
squeeze Adidas for more merch.
Yeah, sober reality and all of the endorsements that we've done. There's commercial. There's big bits of commercial, especially when we start winning. There's some big commercial deals to do, and that's squeeze them. Us.
More international partners as well. Huge global fan base. A huge amount of our revenue comes from sponsorship and deals that we in the UK don't necessarily see. But it just feels like of all the kind of levers that the club could pull, trying to bump up the matchday revenue when it's already a small part of it doesn't feel right.
If there is some chat around this new stadium, is there something about the redevelopment that is part of this? When you announce these things and it's 5 years on a spin, what else are we getting for that? Because we do need some answers now at this point. When you stretch it this much, is there something coming? Is there a reason why? I mean, I know that we owe the Kroenkes the best part of $250 million. We are our owners that, and they've injected where we've needed it. But where else? What else are we getting for this? Because this is the thing. I think we're allowed to ask. I think as fans, as match-going fans.
Yeah, you're right. If they've spoken openly about stadium redevelopment, right, and that will not be cheap. Moving to Wembley for a season will probably have a cost as well. I just would love a raffle at half time. Just one seat every game. They give you 10 grand or something. Imagine that.
That'd be nice.
Absolutely buzzing. They can afford it, can't they?
Is this a fever dream, pun intended? But was there not a storyline arc in Dream Team where they raffled off the entire club by putting it under one seat? Did I just make that up? I'm absolutely sure that happened.
It's hard to say with Dream Team.
It got silly. Was Monday Bandili involved in it potentially?
I don't know. I do like that idea. I mean, what would the prizes be, Jim? Money.
Money.
We will pay your mortgage for a month.
In cash, shot out of a cannon by Gunnosaurus.
Yes.
That sounds like yank. That sounds yank.
It does.
With no disrespect to our Americans. I'm sorry. There's no disrespect to our American listeners.
Well, Gunnosaurus gives you a big check.
Yes,
we don't see enough big checks in modern public life.
Big checks, big bows, big scissors. Yes. That's what I want back.
Great.
I want people announcing things, big scissors cutting a bow, Gunnosaurus ideally.
We'll take that. We'll take that as something.
Right. Well, and if anyone from Arsenal is listening, ticket price is fine. We want Gunnosaurus firing cash into the Emirates,
please,
at the next game. And I'd say at the time of recording, you got 2 days to turn that around before Chelsea, so that's more than enough time.